Hi, and welcome everyone. It's Lavender Sky Panther with you for a Roadside Reading Tuesday. It's May 9th, 2023, and this time around I can't jump piles. I am in cramped quarters in a car, and so it really is going to be Group 1, Group 2, or both. So on the left is Group 1 with the sheep and the donkey, and behind them says Stability with a tree. And on the right we have a camel with Cheerfulness. So go ahead and make your selection, and we're going to get right into it. So here's a little overview, of your cards. So we're going to start off with a hopefully inspirational message. I never know with this little deck. It's really old, and some things, work, some don't. We'll see if this does. Okay, never let anyone hurry you into an answer, and you will maintain your self-respect. Okay, what's really kind of the only thing useful to me out of this is the never let anyone hurry you into, I would say, anything. So there's no hurry for anything unless it's a life and death situation. But either way, the best way to do it, go about it always for the most harmonious result for everyone, is to check in with your heart space first on it. Some people say it's a gut level feeling, but really the heart space is where it's at to make the most, again, fruitful decisions out from the heart and bypassing the brain, obviously. So, and also there's never a rush otherwise. And don't put pressure on yourself either to make the decision. No rushing yourself. And it's always a great idea just to say, hey, I'm going to sleep on it. Don't even give a time frame of 24 hours to get back to somebody or in a few days. Just say you're going to sleep on it. And then also still lets the spirit guide you of when's the right timing to make said decision, or maybe answers come to you in your dream state when you're least resistant to, wrestling with the mind over things. All right, that's enough said about that. So when we get to your cards, we have it at the top corner. That's the Fairy Tarot. We have the Sacred Forest Oracle deck. We have some spirit animals, animal spirit, and then we have the Woodland Wardens. So we're just going to take a look and see how these might interrelate, or they might be standalone messages. Let's see. As always, I refer you to the Australian blog site, Joanne Sacred Scribes, for the new numbers, the numerology, the positive aspects of all of these numbers. I say positive aspects because there are positive and negative aspects to all numbers. They can be used for good or evil, like so to speak. Tongue-in-cheek way to say that. So, but anyway, you get number 13, which can also be number 4. In a lot of cultures, number 13 is very lucky. So if you're in the Western world or in the United States especially, don't look at 13 as unlucky. I mean, do what you like, but I wouldn't do it. If you notice, even in some big buildings, there's a thing where they don't even use the number 13 on the keypad of the buttons to press for a floor. And I think that's just gotten, way out of hand for the reasons behind that. But that might be a little message today you might want to look into. Why is that? Why do they do things like that in the Western world? All right, anyway, we've got this beautiful fairy release, and the message is let go of the past, and ending makes way for new opportunities. Time to move on. And look, she's in a beautiful garden. We got a little bit of a peacock theme, and peacock is that spirit animal connecting into divine insights. We got all those eyes on those feathers, they call them, and and also on the plumage on the head. And those eyes are said to be like spiritual eyes, like the third eye. When we look at this beautiful fairy, she's got her third eye all lit up with sparkles, sparkle stars. And I love how she's got one right in the center of her heart space, and she's connecting in there, in with the third eye, and on up into the infinite intelligence with a capital I. So that's just really beautiful. And she's got all these cosmic, like radiant colors going on, iridescence in the wings. Just a beautiful scene. And look, if you'll notice, she kind of has her left hand is in an upward position, which is for the receiving, and her right hand is down, and that's her giving hand. So right now she's very much, open to receive. It's a total receiving moment, receiving information, receiving a download, as everyone says now these days, from the divine, could even be from cosmic beings. It's all, connected on a certain level. She's got a lot of beautiful flowers around her, and I'm just picking up on that because the next card we're moving to becomes significant. So you might want to just take a look if any jump out to you. And that's all I'm going to say for this card for right now. Okay, now, so the message once again, just for myself too, to get a hold of this. Let go of the past, and ending that makes way for new opportunities. time to move on. And I will just say there's one, I've just heard this in spiritual circles when I was first awakening myself back in 2010, big time, in a conscious way. It's said that if you're holding a cup of water, you can't, you can't take, any more cups if, actually, sorry, two hands are full. You got two glasses of water and you can't receive any more. So you got to put one cup down or put one cup away if you want to receive anything new and open up for new opportunities and moving on with that. All right, so then we're going to look at the next card, the Sacred Forest Oracle deck. Has beautiful cards. Here's one of them, Daffodil Fairy, New Beginnings. And we just talked about that. So, letting go of the past to make way for new opportunities and time to move on. So also meaning for new beginnings. And this little fairy looks so fresh and ready to just have a gorgeous day. This is really about, to me, a new beginning. It's that initial first step, or springing into something new, taking that leap into the unknown, even if you're leaving something behind that you've been doing forever and you don't know where you're going. But this looks how much fresh that energy is compared to presumably older, kind of energies going on to the right of her in the woods there with the older trees. It kind of looks like dead. But here she's stepping into what's new and lively and colorful. You have a number 10, which can also be number 1. It could also mean like a ending and also that 0 point of creation before the new beginning. And I love these daffodils. They're 6-petaled flowers. The little cup in the center is called they think it's the trumpet cup because it looks like a little trumpet. And the thing about that is it also, kind of looks like a golden chalice of victory. So by making that decision to leave the old behind, letting it go, and stepping into the new, it also just kind of symbolizes happiness, with that sunshine kind of energy coming in through those flowers. And also that, the cup is ready to be filled, with some amazing things to come. And again, leaving that old dead stuff, kind of that old dead energy behind, with the forest behind her there. Okay, then we'll look at, and she's got a crown, so obviously she's victorious and wherever she's headed. Okay, then we have your spirit animal 68, which is a 14 or 5. And this is I haven't really seen this card yet. Adorable. I've never seen one in person. Perhaps you have. A wombat. So we have wombat spirit. Be at home. Now the wombats do have burrows, just looking at a quick thing. And they have a quite interesting defense technique. You might want to, I'm going to leave that for you to look up on your own and research if you don't know about it. The only thing I the only thing I want to say about this is one of the traits or characteristics of this is supposedly a group of wombats is called a wisdom. Okay. And that I want to say, okay, in the message there, be at home. But what I want to say with the wisdom is you notice also it's not exactly the third eye on this little guy or girl, but, this little beautiful jeweled adornment at the top does kind of symbolize to me that that's highlighting again the third eye, and with the little group of them called the wisdom. And, we had that with the other fairy here too. Definite focus on that third eye. So this might be a message for some of you too, to not forget to check in today, try to meditate, and if you haven't. And for me, I'm just going to throw it out there. Some people get a little intimidated by that word and meditate. You think you have to go in the lotus position or get into a certain pose. No, you can just do a walking meditation. Just walk through nature. And that can also connect you in there. Okay, so anyway, that just kind of reminds me of that little connection there with that third eye. Also, if you look at it, it looks like a winged form above that jewel. So again, kind of a symbol of victory, like a runner going through that finish line, throwing the arms up in the air like in a V. And that symbolizes bringing in the, here I have to go to a pointer on this. That also is like a symbolism and representation of, like a cup also. So like back to the daffodil, the cup, you can fill that up. But also, receiving energies from above and channeling them down into, focus in here, in the third eye. So receiving those, again, cosmic downloads or other divine downloads. And being at home, that might be a message for somebody. Maybe some of you are homebodies and maybe being at home a little too much. Maybe it's time to kind of wander out like the stars. We get into the starfish next. Or, if you are at home and you're feeling good at home and comfortable in your little burrow, so to speak, maybe it's time that if you're going to be at home, then why not jazz it up a little bit, spruce it up a little bit, freshen it up a little bit, right? Maybe with as simple as getting some new flowers you don't normally get. Or, then they can even be from the wild. You don't have to purchase them in a store, obviously. We've got this representing kind of the hothouse flowers, versus, things that are more in the wild. So it could even just be plant leaves, just something to spruce things up a bit, as they say. And so that's just what I'm getting there. Now, the starfish, here I have to go between, pardon my little getting things together. Okay, starfish. What happened with this card for me is not only was just kind of a nice coincidence, in quotes, that we've got the daffodils beyond and this one, but we're also going to be getting to the mouse and the buttercup. And the buttercup has 5 petals, and it's golden, and we've got the starfish here as well. But what's jumping out for me on the starfish, I've talked about it in other shows, but this time around today, with this particular card, I'm just actually just looking at the word starfish, because obviously it just doesn't seem, to me anyway, that this should be called a fish of any type, but obviously the star. So you might want to look into the etymology and the origins of why it's called a starfish. Obviously, it's a beautiful thing that they can kind of creep and crawl along. They're not fixed, and I think, again, that's just, looking at the wombat at be at home. Well, you can be at home, but also make sure you venture out and wander out, because you can really shine when you're out amongst others. And if we do too much of the be at home and hermit stage of things, if you want to compare this to the tarot cards analogies, there's time to be in the burrow, but there's time to mix and be out there and let your inner light shine, so the world can benefit from the magnificence that we each are. Okay, now let's get to this one. Okay, we have a 0. That's significant for anyone. And the mouse and the buttercup, innocence. And I guess, that just goes back to, I'm sure we've talked about this a lot, but, starting off with that childlike wonder, and you can never be too small or too big. Greatness doesn't lie in the size, obviously. Greatness can be in the very small things, the little things. And so just, approaching life with that childlike wonder and a state of innocence, we really can connect in and see the magic and beauty and everything around us, whether we're at home or out in the, outdoors, or just about to leap into the great unknown, or, connecting into something even greater. And so I think that's about all I want to say for today. I'm going to do a little bonus intuitive here. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to do that. All right, I picked this book because the animals, these little wooden animals, wanted to be the little, tokens of the day for the groupings to select. So I'm bringing back, I had this in another reading, but I'm bringing it back, the Musicians of Bremen, Los Músicos de Bremen, and I have the animals here. They're depicting the rooster, the donkey, dog, and cat. So what I want to do in this one, since it was specifically a donkey that came out in our little grouping, there is one page I'm just going to read. I'm not going to intuitively flip the book open and see where I land this time. I'm just going to read it, okay? And so I'm going to have the focus on the image while I read from the text. Sorry, I'm all over the place today in this side quarters in this roadside reading, but here we go. So here's the image, beautiful image, woodcut, woodcut print, really pretty. So here we have this donkey, okay? And let me see if I can keep the camera on this while I read it without getting anybody motion sick, okay? All right. Once there was a donkey who had spent his life serving his master. When he was no longer strong enough for the hardest jobs, his master turned him out on his ear. "Hee-haw, what an ingrate," said the donkey. "But nothing gets me down, not even this." So the donkey, who fancied himself a specialist in brayings, bleatings, and other noises, decided to go off and seek a job as a musician in the city band of Bremen. And off he went, singing at the top of his lungs. So I think that's just a beautiful spirit, right? Just not caring, you've, dedicated your lifetime. This could be somebody who had a job forever and you've gotten let go recently, or you left, and, you feel like you weren't appreciated. And instead of lamenting, what happened in the past, like look at that dilapidated barn, you just say, well, forget that, man. I'm going off. I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. And I know I have a lot of skills. And I'm going to go off on a new adventure. Forget about it. I don't care if it was, 5 days or 5 years, 50 years at a place. I'm out of there. Fine. Good riddance. And let's go on and explore. So that kind of does tie in with the theme, releasing, letting go, and just moving on. And again, look how fresh she looks. And like this donkey here, looks kind of a little downtrodden and whatever. And here we saw the other scene where he's just singing away at the top of his lungs, right? It's kind of like, I don't know why this phrase is coming up, but it's like, bad hair, don't care. I'm just, forget the world. I'm doing me, and I'm just going to have a great time and in all my glory, however I'm showing up. All right, well, that's group 1. And now we're going to move on. Best wishes to all of you. Have a beautiful right now and a gorgeous day. And now we're going to move on to group 2. So we're heading over to the Camel. Okay. Now group 2, give me a moment to set up your cards. Hope everyone is doing well and having a beautiful right now. Hang on one second. It's going to take me just a moment. I don't have editing capability. I'm doing this, like I said, literally on the roadside out of a car. And so it's taking a minute to get set up with these cramped quarters, but we'll do it. Hang on, if I can find all your cards. We're missing one. Okay, here we go. We got it. All right, give me one moment. Almost there. You might hear some raindrops. We're having a sun shower. That might be significant for somebody's sun shower. Okay, so here's just a little overview of everything, where we're headed. Okay, these are your cards. We have the Fairy Tarot in the top left. We've got the Sacred Forest Oracle. We have Spirit Animals, Animal Spirit, and the Woodland Wardens. And you have a little inspirational, hopefully it is anyway, message here below. I say that because sometimes the cards in this deck are just so-so and sometimes they're good. So let's see what you got. You have, by finding at least one wonderful quality in everyone, your life will become a dance. Okay. Well, and that's true. It is true. It's so easy to find faults or complain about ourselves or other people. But instead, we need to flip it and find the best in ourselves and the best in other people. And that will attract more of that into our lives on the daily, for sure. Okay, so let's get to the, use the Fairy Tarot because it's a little more descriptive to be our lead-off card to kind of set the tone. You have 7 of Winter. Before I get into this, just as a reminder for the positive aspects of all the numbers covered today, I do love to send you over to Joanne's Sacred Scribes. It's on an Australian blog site. She does a great job of telling you all of those in-depth, meanings behind the numbers. Okay, so here we have 7 of Winter, and we'll go through the image. We'll go to the back to image in a second. Message here is, there's a better choice. Not seeing things clearly, running away from the truth. All right, so right away, we have this beautiful winter fairy. Her eyes are closed, so she's really not kind of accepting things, closing her eyes to it. Her hand is showing she's kind of putting stuff, trying to put stuff behind her and get away. She's holding something that looks presumably valuable, like a fine glass or, crystal vase or perfume bottle. I can't quite tell what that is. But anyway, it's delicate, and yet she's skating. And as delicate and poised as she may be, it looks like she's still skating on some thin ice. So maybe not the best to be doing that while she's holding something fragile. And so there's a better choice there. Maybe she doesn't skate holding that next time, or, leave it off to the side while doing this. And, opening the eyes, because here she is just going about her way. She could trip over, a stick or, a block of ice, whatever. Anyway, we'll get into more. I think that's just clear, obvious saying. Just don't close your eyes to everything. Don't bury your head in the sand. Really open your eyes and look at everything head on so you can make the best choice possible and clearly. Okay? And no running away from really anything, right, in life? Okay, now let's see what we have on your Sacred Forest Oracle deck. And we have Spirit, Guardian of Summer, Expansion. Look how beautiful. And then we have total abundance here. And we have number 37, which is a 10 or a 1. Okay. And here we kind of have fun that we have a winter, winter and summer, a kind of juxtaposition. All right, let's see what else is coming up, see if we have anything to say about that. All right, then your spirit animals, number 23, number 5, we get that a lot lately, is number for change. And here we have this eagle spirit with a crown on it, and it says, Spirit has your back. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. And look into the eyes of this thing. Like, I'm going to say he is really serious. So you know what? That's a very serious, pay attention kind of look with your eagle eye, clear vision as it goes out of focus, ironically. Spirit has your back. That's not just a little fly-by-night statement, pun intended. That's more of a command. This eagle's commanding you and saying, Spirit has your back, don't you forget it. All right, so that's pretty strong message there. All right, now let's see what your other animal spirit is. Snake, okay, but snake not in a creepy way. This is the snake, like the cosmic snake. We had this in the previous reading. I forget the name of that Norse snake, begins with a J. Jorkmender, not Jorkmender, but Jorkmungand, something like that. You guys will know what it is or look it up. But anyway, that cosmic Norse snake that, holds the entire world. And it's got the tail and the mouth, so that's symbolizing, eternity, infinity, and also in some cultures, fertility and a healing, power. So whatever the case, we got power just jumping off this card, there's just something happening in that kind of tree of life pattern, and it's pretty explosive. So, but I still think in a good way, like just a powerful charge coming off of that. All right, let's see where all this leads, if anywhere. Let's look at more cards. All right, then we have, looks like number 7, and we have laurels and a chipmunk. Success. So yes, success with the laurels were symbolized, and I guess some of the Olympian games, and they put a crown of laurels on someone for victory. But it's also a message of don't rest on your laurels, right? Maybe it's a message of not just resting on laurels today. They're nice to have, but, to continue on in life, on life's path, we don't want stagnancy or complacency either. Now, the chipmunk, I just learned today, is also called a timber tiger by some. I kind of like that name, that little nickname. It's part of the squirrel family, obviously. So they spend their time, constantly in motion, constantly collecting seeds and storing them. And so even though that chipmunk has an aspect of storage and of kind of staying a little more on the complacent side, maybe more, not complacent, but staying on the side of, okay, having a storage area where they're just going to deposit stuff that will kind of stay dormant, will stay inactive for a while. But they're constantly hustling to make that success of collecting everything. So they're not resting on laurels, they're in constant motion so that they can have success when they need it the most in winter, right back up to our winter theme. So anyway, I think this card is, you'll know if it hits you or not. It's either, maybe the answer is keep going, stay continuous, stay consistent, whatever your endeavors are, so that you can reach success. Or if you're already what you consider successful, that's great, but maybe don't rest on those laurels too much. And whatever the case, enjoy a nice balance of it, is what I see. The chipmunk is really poised, between, it's like a rare moment where the chipmunk isn't hustling and running around. Okay, and actually, I don't know, this might be significant. The chipmunk is holding something, maybe a little fragment, a little piece of the laurels, maybe just as a reminder, holding it near and dear to its kind of heart chakra area, that in order to have success for the winter, it's got to keep moving, right? Okay, now I think that's going to be, I'm trying to see if I can tie any of this in. Well, I mean, the tree back up here, it is talking about expansion, abundance that, can be seen as a level, of success as well. So I think that's going to be it for now. It's a little bit of a lighter reading today, but hopefully something in here meant something to some of you or any of you. Again, when I do these things, it's just to see, or there might be just one number, a color, a word, a phrase, something that pops out that you needed to hear today. And if that's the case, or it brings good to your life or uplifts you in any way, that's why I'm doing this. All right, I am going to do a little bonus read for you. Unlike your first group, First group, I had a book selection. I do a little intuitive flipping the book open and selecting a passage. Theirs, I just already pre-selected for a specific reason. But your group, you're going to see this really ragged, tattered, a really well-worn and read book. You know, the story of Ferdinand by Munro Leaf and drawings by Robert Lawson. So in this case, I already know that in this book, the left-hand sides are all of the text. The right-hand sides are always the illustrations. So that's okay. We're going to read one or the other. I'm not just going to go to the text or just to the illustrations. So I'm going to, you're not going to see me, but I'm going to close my eyes. I'm flipping through the book. And then I'm also going to select with my left hand. Usually I like to select with my right, but I'm holding the camera. So in this case, okay, I'm just intuitively feeling it out and kind of trying to see in my mind's eye where we're going to go with it. And then we'll just see what we get. My eyes are still closed, and I'm heavily leaning to the right for whatever reason. And let's see what I get. Okay, very interesting. Okay, we have the overall scene. I will go to the text and we'll look at the overall scene. But before we do, look at this. We've got like an aqueduct kind of looking facade or something, or just some kind of architecture built in between the heights of these two cliffs. I landed somewhere near this house, okay? And then we have to Madrid over there with some type of vulture. And then we have a whole little bandwagon here with a cart, you know, with Ferdinand heading off, okay? So, but I did land in this scene on, oh, and the text is, so they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. All right, but what we're going to focus on is what I landed on. Really beautiful sketches and drawings in this book is that house, okay? Now, what I see is not only, the house is built on rock, yes. It's not built on sand, so there is stability there. There's only like one little minuscule window maybe, or that might be just the sketch showing texture on the wall, I'm not sure. But anyway, whatever that is, like, who is even in that house? Like, why is it there? Are some of my questions. But the point is that even though it's built, hang on, I'm trying to find my pointer. Here we go. Bear with me. It's weird reading today on the roadside, but oh well. Okay, so even though this is like, you know, built on something solid, not on sand, not on clay, would seemingly be very stable, it's still kind of at the bottom of this cliff where stuff could just easily fall down on it. And why am I even talking about that? Is I think it's the idea of what is home. We had in the first pile, in the first group, sorry, I'm trying to get to the right place. Here we go. In the first pile, we had be at home with the wombat. And the wombat was just very comfortable in its little tight burrow, right? So it's funny because you could be at home feeling all so safe, not going out at all because you think you're only going to be safe in your house. And then look, a boulder hits the top and you're done. And you would have been safer if you went out exploring. That's the message I'm getting. So, you know, what is safe? You know, check yourself maybe. It's a message to kind of evaluate what's going on in your life. What you feel is safe seemingly may not when you look at the bigger picture. Okay, that's just the message I got. All right. All right, I think I got to end it here because I'm going to get a call any moment. I'm going to have to jump off. So for now, I wish you all the very best and a beautiful right now. Lavender Sky Panther. Till next time. Bye.